Do stockbrokers still use drugs? We've seen the movies, Wall Street, Wolf of Wall Street, Boiler Room, all those movies. Well, let me tell you, some of it's true. So, what I've seen in my career, actually, when I was at the big firm, when I was at Merrill, I never saw anyone use drugs or even heard of it. I haven't. Everyone drank. We all drank. Sometimes we'd leave at the bell, go get happy hour, come back, make cold calls after a few drinks. Whatever. But I never heard of anyone using real drugs there. I'm not including weed. I guess I could, but I haven't heard of anyone using coke or pills when I was at the big firm. When I was at the Boiler Room, which I've talked about many of times, a lot of people would drink there as well. I've mentioned I went to parties at associates' houses where people would just get blasted and get in fights, like high school, college, blasted and fight. It was a little ridiculous. But let me tell you where I did see drugs, and it was really weird. When I worked at the bank, I'm not going to say which one, but one of the banks I worked at, everyone was popping pills. I'm talking everyone. This was in the late 2000s. Yeah, maybe 2009, 2010. But everyone was popping pills. At work, after work. It was insane. And all the girls there were cheating on their husbands. It was nuts. The tellers, just everyone. I don't want to say any names or give any clues about where or who, but it was nuts. They'd all go out and party and tell me about it. It was insane times, and it's not like we were really working in a high-pressure environment. I'm sure the women at the bank were stressed out, but it was nuts. So they'd all smoke, they'd all drink, and they'd all pop pills. That's what I've seen there. I haven't seen any Wolf of Wall Street stuff. Now, again, I didn't graduate college until the 2000s. I didn't enter the business until 2005. So the 70s, 80s, 90s, the heyday where all those stories are from, I wasn't there. However, I have heard a lot of stories about trading on the floor in New York and in Chicago. This is not personal experience. It's just from people I personally know, and I'm positive these stories are true. So what I've heard there, people on all kinds of coke, like actual 80s style Wall Street type stories, on coke, getting strippers in the office, hooking up with strippers, people pissing on the floor, people drinking, people getting in fights. I've literally heard this. I know somebody who said he was on the floor of a trading pit. I'm not going to say which one. Again, don't want to incriminate anyone. And someone very drunk out of their mind on the top of the pit pissed off the railing, off the balcony, onto everyone on the floor. I swear to God. And I 100% believe him because I knew him. I was friends with him. So also he was telling me he had strippers come in. Everyone hooked up with the strippers. It was just, prostitutes. It was just nuts. And everyone was doing coke. But a lot of them, he said, they all drove Ferraris to work. Just super, super rich. I met a couple people from that time that traded on the floor. They're about 20 years older than me. Still to this day, multi-millionaires. I'm talking tens of millions plus. They made a ton of money and they partied crazy in Chicago and New York in the 80s and 90s. What a time. What a time. So the real Wall Street stuff, I've seen people pop pills, drink, get in fights, but the real drugs were in the 80s and 90s. And yes, it did really happen on the trading floors. People doing coke, bringing in whores, just like in the movies. That happened. Good thing we're living in the 2020s. We don't need to worry about all that anymore. We can just focus on our business. Stay sober, guys. Thanks a lot.